The Man Who Lived Before Death, a Buganda legend featuring Kintu, Nambi, and Walumbe. There was a time when no one had ever died. No graves marked the land. No songs were sung for the departed. No tears fell because nothing had ever been lost. The earth was wide, the sky was quiet, and there was only one human being alive. His name was Kintu. Kintu lived alone on the open back of the world. There were no villages then, no footpaths worn by generations, no fires burning through the night in clusters of homes. There was only grass bending to the wind and the sun rising because it always had. Kintu owned little, one cow, one shelter, one wooden pot. But what he lacked in numbers, he carried in patience. Each morning he woke with the light. He milked his cow slowly, speaking to it as though it were an old friend. He drank, he shared some with the earth, and he saved some for later. When the day grew hot, he rested. When night came, he slept without fear. Loneliness sat beside him, but it did not wound him. He had never known anything else. Far above him, beyond clouds that had not yet learned how to rain, lived Gulu, ruler of the sky. The sky was crowded with voices, with laughter, with music. Gulu had many children, but one among them was often quiet. Her name was Nambi. While others danced and argued and feasted, Nambi leaned over the edge of the sky and watched the earth below. She watched storms crawl slowly across plains. She watched rivers carve paths as though searching for something. And one day her eyes found a man, a single man. She watched him move gently among cattle. She watched him share his food with the soil. She watched how he never raised his voice to the sky, even when it burned him or soaked him. She watched again the next day, and the next. Curiosity stirred. Curiosity grew roots. And soon curiosity turned into longing. Nambi had everything the sky could give, but what she wanted was below. One day, without asking permission, Nambi stepped off the edge of heaven. And the earth was no longer alone. When Kintu looked up and saw Nambi standing before him, he froze. The sky had never walked toward him before. She shone, but not like the sun. She glowed softly, like something meant to be approached, not feared. She spoke his name before he ever told it to her. Kintu, she said, smiling. He answered slowly, careful not to break the moment. They sat together. They shared food. They laughed. The silence that had lived with Kintu all his life stepped aside, as though it understood it was no longer needed. By the time the sun dipped, the world had already changed. I will marry you, Nambi said. Kintu hesitated. He knew the sky did not give freely. He knew nothing that beautiful came without weight. But love once spoken does not return to the mouth. They journeyed to the sky. Gulu received Kintu not as a guest but as a question. You want my daughter, Gulu said. Then prove you are not weak. And the trials began. The sky did not try to kill Kintu quickly. It tried to break him slowly. He was ordered to carry loads meant to crush bone, to eat what should poison the body, to find one cow among thousands, to sleep where danger breathed in the dark. Each time Kintu survived, not by strength alone, but by patience, by listening, by refusing to rush when fear whispered lies. When the trials ended, Gulu nodded. This man, he said, is quiet, but he is strong. He allowed the marriage. He gave gifts for life on earth, seeds, livestock, fire, knowledge. Then his voice hardened. Once you leave, do not return, and whatever you do not bring Walumbe with you. At the edge of the sky stood Nambi's brother, Walumbe. He smiled thinly. Let me go too, he said. No, Gulu answered. Where you walk, things end. Kintu and Nambi descended, carrying the future in their hands. But halfway down, Nambi stopped. My chickens, she said. I forgot food for them. Kintu felt the warning echo in his bones. Leave it, he said. But love trusted a small mistake.
Before the story continues, remember this. These tales were not told for entertainment alone. They were warnings. If you wish to hear more stories from Buganda and beyond, subscribe and listen carefully.
She turned back, and Walumbe followed. He did not run. He did not hide. He simply walked. Soon children cried at night. Soon people did not wake. Kintu confronted him. You must leave. Walumbe smiled. I will, he said, but I will take one child each day. Kintu chased him across the earth until the ground opened and swallowed Walumbe whole. Death did not arrive loudly. It did not fall from the sky like lightning. It did not come riding fire or war. It did not announce itself with drums or thunder. Death came quietly, and once it arrived, it refused to leave. By the time Kintu understood what had happened, the world was already wounded. Children who had laughed the night before did not wake in the morning. Voices that had filled the air went silent. The earth, which had never swallowed anyone before, now began to learn the taste of human life. Kintu was the first man. Yes, but now he was also the first to mourn. He confronted Walumbe, his wife's brother, the one who had followed them without invitation. You do not belong here, Kintu said. You were forbidden. Walumbe did not argue. He did not shout. He did not defend himself. He smiled, and that smile was worse than anger. I will leave, Walumbe said calmly, but not empty-handed. I will take one child each day until I am satisfied. Imagine that choice. Not a flood, not a single ending, but loss measured slowly, day by day, like drops of water wearing away stone. Kintu refused. He chased Walumbe across the land, through grasslands that had never known running feet, through forests that bent aside to watch, through valleys that echoed with the first sound of panic. Walumbe did not rush. He knew where he was going. At last the ground cracked. The earth, which had once been only a surface, opened its mouth, and Walumbe went down, not gone, not destroyed, but hidden. The soil closed over him, and the world above fell silent again. Kintu stood there, chest heaving, staring at the ground. He had chased death away, or so he thought. High above, Gulu watched everything. The sky gods saw the first burial, the first grief, the first fear, and for the first time, even the sky was uneasy. Gulu sent another son. His name was Kyakusi. Where Walumbe moved quietly, Kyakusi arrived like an earthquake. His footsteps shook hills. His breath rattled trees. When he ran, the ground itself complained. Kyakusi did not speak to Walumbe. He hunted him. He followed the tremors beneath the soil. He listened to the whispers of disturbed earth. Each step brought him closer. Walumbe was afraid now. For the first time since arriving on earth, death was being chased, and he was almost caught. The ground shook harder. Stones leapt. Trees swayed. Animals fled. The earth groaned as though it might split open completely. Humans saw this and panicked. They did not understand what was happening. They only knew the world was shaking and something powerful was coming. So they did what frightened humans still do today. They shouted, they warned, they cried out to each other. And those human sounds reached Walumbe. He fled deeper, down where no footsteps could follow, down where even Kyakusi could not reach him. And just like that, the chase ended. Kyakusi stopped. The ground stilled. Death had escaped again, and this time there would be no second chase. Not because the sky could not send another sun, but because the moment had passed. Once death settles into the world, it does not pack its things and leave politely. It builds a home. It learns paths. It memorizes names. Gulu understood this. So did Kintu. So did the earth. From that day on, humans lived knowing something followed them. Not always visible, not always loud, but always present. And so death was given a name, Walumbe. Not as an insult, not as a curse, but as recognition. Because in Buganda, to name something is to admit it exists. To this day, when someone dies, people do not say, death has come. They say Walumbe has taken them. Because death is not an idea in the story. It is a being, a brother, a presence that arrived once and never returned to the sky. This legend does not tell us that death is punishment. It tells us that death is consequence, a forgotten task, a moment of turning back, a warning not fully obeyed. And once that moment passed, the world changed forever. Listen carefully. The story does not end with blame. Nambi loved. Kintu trusted. Humans shouted. Each did what felt right in the moment. And yet, the world still broke. That is why this story is told. Not to frighten children, not to glorify death, but to remind us that some things, once invited, never leave. So when the earth opens for our loved ones, when we lower them into the ground, we are not just burying bodies. We are acknowledging an ancient truth that beneath us, someone is listening, and his name is Walumbe, and that is why death never left. If you listen to stories like this, stay close. Subscribe to Pearl Mystic Tales so that you do not miss out on our weekly Tuesday stories.